I'm Jason Farman, Assistant Professor in American Studies. Really, as I walk around my everyday life, I'm finding inspiration everywhere. A few weeks ago, I was up in New York City for a conference, and I was down in Times Square getting coffee. A woman in her 20s walked in, and she was holding her iPad, and she was actually having a video chat with someone. He was in his pajamas on his bed, and she was in one of the most crowded places in Manhattan. And it was an interesting moment for me to think about how does connection happen across our devices, especially when our devices are with us at all times. As I was writing the book that just came out, Mobile Interface Theory, one of the big challenges I faced is how do you write a book about what is perhaps the most rapidly changing technology on the face of the planet. I knew by the time that the book was going to be published that most of the examples I was talking about were obsolete. Tools come and tools go. It has to be about something deeper than that. So it really begins with a question. How are people using these devices? When we're taking them out around Times Square, how do we connect with people? How do we understand community when we are using these devices more and more to connect? I think a huge transformation is happening with the ability to use these devices for a community to tell its story. I don't think that any other media prior to mobile technologies have done this in an effective way. The stories that were told about space tended to be told by the people in power. It costs quite a bit of money to set up a plaque, to set up a statue, and so money and power all sort of coalesced in what kind of stories could be told about a space. Now, what's interesting about mobile technologies are you can actually use a device to layer multiple stories onto a single site. Stories that can be competing with each other, contradictory to each other, or just little nuances about what that space means. There are certain parts of the book that, as I was writing, I knew my parents were going to read this chapter and just not get a word of it. So my goal was then to say, how can I take this work that is inaccessible and make it accessible? I want theoretical models that can be used by people in a wide range of disciplines to begin to think critically about the spaces that you're very familiar with and to then see them differently from that point on.